For 47 days, a 9-pound calico with a torn ear hissed at every single person who walked into Eleanor Hayes' apartment. The mailman, the grandkids, the sister who drove 3 hours to meet her, the volunteer who brought her cat food on a rainy Tuesday. She hissed at all of them, every time without exception, until day 48, when a quiet man in a brown coat walked through the front door, sat down on the living room rug without saying a word, and something happened that Eleanor had been waiting 19 years to see. Her name was Eleanor Hayes. She was 71 years old, a widow of 19 years, living alone in a small one-bedroom apartment on the 3rd floor of a red brick building in Minneapolis, with a view of a parking lot, a window box of basil she no longer watered, and a silence she had stopped trying to fight. Eleanor had never wanted a cat, not in her whole life. Her husband Frank had been the animal person. After he was gone, she had simply closed that door along with many others. Her life had shrunk to the size of her armchair, her morning tea, and the sound of the radiator clicking on at 6:15 every morning. That was until a Sunday afternoon in late September, when she walked out to the parking lot to take her garbage to the dumpster and found a small cardboard box tucked behind it, the lid pressed down by a broken brick. She heard something moving inside. Eleanor was 71 years old. She had osteoporosis. She had strict instructions from her doctor not to lift anything heavier than a gallon of milk. She lifted the brick off that cardboard box anyway. Inside, pressed flat against the corner, was a 9-pound calico cat, matted white and orange and brown fur, a torn left ear, ribs showing under her coat, and 2 enormous green eyes that tracked Eleanor with the sharpness of a knife. The cat did not run, the cat did not meow, the cat hissed once, low and long, and made it very clear that she had not asked to be found. Eleanor stood there in that parking lot for 4 full minutes, holding the cardboard box, feeling something she had not felt in 19 years, a reason to move. She carried the cat upstairs in that same cardboard box. She named her Butter, because of the soft yellow patches on her paws, because of the way the afternoon sun fell across her fur when she finally lay down, and because Eleanor's Frank had always said that butter made everything better. For 47 days, Eleanor was not sure he had been right. Butter hissed at everything. The mailman, who Eleanor had known for 14 years, couldn't get within 6 feet of the apartment without Butter appearing at the door, low to the ground, ears flat, eyes fixed, hissing like a small brass kettle. The grandkids came for Thanksgiving weekend. Butter hid under the couch for 3 days and refused to come out. Eleanor's sister Helen drove 3 hours from Duluth to meet the new family member. Butter bit her thumb and drew blood. The volunteer from the rescue organization stopped by with a donated bag of cat food on a rainy Tuesday. Butter hissed at her from the top of the bookshelf and refused to come down for 2 hours. Eleanor's doctor, who had been telling her for years to get some kind of companion, came over for his annual house visit and left saying, "Eleanor, that's not a pet, that's a warning." But here is what nobody else saw. Every single night at 9:47 p.m., after Eleanor had turned off the television and settled into her armchair with a cup of chamomile tea, Butter would quietly walk across the living room floor. She would stop 4 feet away, she would sit down, and she would stare at Eleanor with those enormous green eyes, watching her breathe, not asking for anything, just staying. Eleanor understood. She had spent 19 years hissing at the world too.
I see you're still watching and haven't subscribed yet. Honestly, that stings a little. Hit subscribe now. You won't want to miss what happens on day 48. Day 48 was a Saturday. Eleanor had forgotten that she'd promised her nephew Thomas she would let in the new man from the senior center's volunteer visitor program, a man named Samuel, a widower like her, a retired librarian, a quiet man in a brown coat who didn't talk very much, which Thomas had said was exactly why Eleanor might like him. Samuel knocked on the door at 2:14 p.m. Eleanor braced herself. She waited for Butter's low growl from under the table. She waited for the hiss. It never came. Samuel walked in. He didn't try to shake Eleanor's hand. He didn't ask questions. He sat down on the living room rug, slowly, the way a man sits when his knees don't work the way they used to, and he looked at the cat sitting on the top of the bookshelf. He didn't stare, he just looked. And then he said 6 quiet words. "Hello, you look like a Saturday." Butter blinked at him, slowly. Both ears lifted half an inch. Then she climbed down from the bookshelf, one shelf at a time. She walked across the living room rug. She stopped 2 feet from Samuel. She sat down, and she did not hiss. Eleanor stood in the kitchen doorway with her hand over her mouth. Some stories deserve to be shared, and what happened next deserves to be seen by every single person who has ever felt too old, too tired, or too alone to start over. Samuel came back the next Saturday. He didn't bring flowers, he didn't bring wine. He brought a paperback book with a cracked spine, and he read it quietly in Eleanor's armchair while Butter sat on the floor beside him and watched. He looked up from the book every so often, nodded at the cat, and went back to reading. That was all. No grand gestures, no rush. He came back the Saturday after that, and the one after that, and the one after that. By the 4th Saturday, Butter was sitting 6 inches from Samuel's foot. By the 6th Saturday, she was lying sideways across his shoes, her torn ear twitching gently in her sleep. By the end of December, Butter had climbed onto Samuel's lap for the first time, slowly, testing every muscle. Eleanor photographed it on her flip phone from the kitchen doorway and sent it to her sister Helen, who cried for 11 full minutes on the phone without saying a word. By February, Samuel had his own key. By May, Eleanor laughed out loud for the first time in years at something Samuel said, and he turned to look at her from across the kitchen table, and she realized she had forgotten her own laugh sounded. Today, 2 years later, Butter is 5 years old. The torn ear never fully healed, but it stopped bothering her a long time ago. Samuel comes over 5 nights a week. He reads in the armchair, Butter sits on his lap, and Eleanor pours 3 cups of tea instead of 1. Eleanor lost Frank 21 years ago now. She thought the door she closed that year was closed forever. She was wrong. Sometimes life sends you the people you have been waiting for in the form of a quiet man in a brown coat who knows how to sit on a rug without talking. Sometimes life sends you a reason to open the door again in the form of a 9-pound calico hissing at the world from inside a cardboard box. And sometimes, when you are 71 years old and you think your story is finished, the best chapters are still waiting for you to simply lift the brick. If you are thinking of opening your heart again to anything at all, remember this. The ones who have been alone the longest are often the ones who will love you carefully when you finally let them in. Did Eleanor rescue Butter, or did Butter rescue Eleanor? Tell me in the comments.